Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? It's Friday. It is April the 3rd. Yeah, I think that's right. All the days are running together. I got Luna here somewhere. Where are you, Luna? Is she there? Nope. There she is. Okay, she's tired. She's sleeping. All right, so our lesson for today for math, what we're going to do is we are going to add and subtract decimals. And adding and subtracting decimals is mostly like adding or subtracting whole numbers, just one small difference, okay? So we've got a couple of problems here, and we're going to get to that shortly. But first, I'm going to start with just some grid paper and do a couple of examples. And, I'm going to send you a copy of this grid paper as a PDF, so you can use that at home, or you can use regular paper. So let me do an example of adding whole numbers. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start with 26. Let me get my pen. All right, I'm going to add 26 plus 34. Okay, so this is not anything new. You guys have done this before. So I've got the whole number 26, and I'm adding that to the whole number 34. And I have my ones lined up and my tens lined up, and I'm just going to add vertically, meaning up and down. So I'm going to start in my ones place, and I'm going to add my 6 to my 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So I put my 0 in my ones place, and I need to carry my 1 to my tens place, and now I'm going to add up these numbers in my tens place. I have 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6 for a grand total of 60. Okay, that's easy, right? We've done that before. That's nothing new. Okay, now I'm going to try a different number. I'm going to add 231 plus 47. 231 plus 47. Okay. Is that right? Does this look okay? I've got 231 and I'm adding 47. What's wrong with this? All right, yeah, I can't put my 47 here because that says if I'm lining up the numbers this way, that says I have 4 hundreds and 7 tens, which is not right? So I'm going to put a big old X through that. That's not right. And I'm going to come down here below it. Okay, the way I would add this is I would do 231 and I'm going to add 47. And so we know I have to keep my tens lined up and my ones lined up, because 47 means I have 4 in my tens place, 7 in my ones place, and nothing in my hundreds place. So if you want to, you can add a 0 there just to hold that spot, or you can leave it empty. And now everything's lined up correctly for me to add. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 plus 7 is 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. And 2 plus nothing is 2. 278. Okay, again, that's easy. That's nothing new. We've done that before. All right, so with decimals, it's more or less the same. We have to keep the place values lined up. But when there's a decimal, we have to keep the decimals lined up as well. Oops, let me erase that. So I'm going to clear all of this out. All right. Let's go back to our example that I started with, 26 plus 34. Okay, and we said that's easy, right? Got my ones lined up, got my tens lined up. 6 plus 4 is 10. I'm going to put my 0 here in the ones place, carry my 1 up to the tens place, and I have 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6, 60. But let's suppose I had a decimal. So in these numbers. So I'm going to say 2 and 6/10, or 2.6. I'm going to write it up here first. So what if I had 2.6, and I'm going to add to that 34 hundredths, which would be decimal 3, 4. Okay, so I have 2 and 6/10, and I'm adding to that 34 hundredths. So I have 2.6 plus decimal 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to have to line this up differently. I'm going to have to keep my decimals in line with each other so that I have all my place values still lining up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Or let me erase that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to write 2.6. All right, for my 2 and 6/10. Now I'm going to add to that 34 hundredths, but I'm not going to start my 3 here underneath the 2. Why? Because this 2 is in the ones place value, but this 3 is in the tenths place. So I'm going to have to line up my decimals. Okay, this 3 is in the tenths place, and this 4 is in the hundredths place. Okay, all right, so looks a little bit different than this problem up here. Now I'm going to put a 0 here just to hold that place. Okay, and now I'm going to add. So when you're adding or subtracting decimal numbers, anything with a decimal in it, I'm going to need to line up the decimals one on top of the other so that all the place values line up. Because this number, 34 hundredths, means I have a 0 in the ones place, a 3 in the tenths place, and a 4 in the hundredths place. Okay, now I'm ready to add, and it should look different than this number over here. So I've got 0 plus 4 is 4. 6 plus 3 is 9. I'm going to bring down my decimal. So see how they're one on top of the other. They're lined up vertically, and I'm going to bring that decimal down right where it is, right here in my answer. And then I've got 2 plus 0 is 2. So if I have $2, if you think about this as money, $2.60, and I get 34 more cents, I now have $2.94. Not $60, right? Very different when you put the decimals in there. The decimals need to stay lined up. All right, so I'm going to clear these out, and we're going to try another example. So let's clear this. All right, let's suppose that we have, get my pen, 5 and 2/10. And I'm going to add to that 1 and 27 hundredths. 27 hundredths. Okay, so remember that I need to keep my decimals lined up. And you can also remember that addition is commutative, meaning I can change the order, but it won't change the answer. So I could add this as 1 and 27 hundredths plus 5 and 2/10. That would be okay. So I'm going to do it both ways. All right, I'm going to start with my 5 and 2/10. And I want to add these or subtract vertically, meaning going up and down. It's going to be much easier because that way we can line up our decimals. So I've got 5 and 2/10, and I'm going to add to that 1 and 27/100. Okay, so remember, I want to keep my decimals lined up. So that decimal's got to be directly underneath the one above it. And then to the left of the decimal, I have a 1 in my ones place. I have a 2 in my tenths place, and I have a 7 in my hundredths place. Okay, and then I can add a 0 here if it makes me feel more comfortable to hold that place value, because 20 hundredths is equivalent to 2/10. Adding a 0 at the end of a decimal number does not change the value. Okay, so it does change the value with the whole number, but not adding a 0 at the end of a decimal. Let me make my decimal bigger here since I just covered it up. Okay. All right, so I have my decimals lined up vertically, one on top of the other, and now I'm ready to add. So I get 0 plus 7 is 7. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 5 plus 1 is 6. Now my answer is not 647, though. I need to bring that decimal down. So they're lined up here, and I'm going to bring it straight down so it's lined up in my answer. And that's why I like using grid paper or graph paper for this, because it helps you to keep everything lined up pretty neatly. It'll work on lined paper or unlined paper, but you just have to be careful to keep everything lined up. And that's my answer, 6 and 47/100. So that's like saying I had $5.20, and then I got another $1.27, and my total is $6.47. Okay, so I'm going to do another one as an example. What if I had a whole number? Let me clear this out. What if I had the whole number, let's just say 9. And I'm going to add to that 7,300. Well, some of you might be able to do that mentally, right? But if not, let's go ahead and set it up and line it up. So this is the whole number 9. It doesn't have a decimal, but it's understood if there is no decimal that that's in the ones place, and the decimal would be right here. All right, so I'm going to put 9. And I can put the decimal if that helps me to keep everything lined up. That 9 is in the ones place. And then I need to line up my decimals vertically, so I'm going to put this decimal right below it. And I'm going to put my 7 in the tenths place and my 3 in the hundredths place. 73 hundredths. Okay, and then I can add zeros here if I want to hold those places so I can keep everything lined up. Okay, now I'm ready to add. My decimals are lined up. Always check that your decimals are lined up. I would not want to put my 7 over here and my decimal here, because then the decimals would not be lined up, and I would be adding 9 in the ones place to a 7, but that 7 is 7/10, not 7 whole ones. So this is like saying I have $9 and I'm adding to that 73 cents. Okay, so I have 0 plus 3 is 3. 0 plus 7 is 7. And if you want to add a 0 here just to hold that place, you certainly can. 9 plus 0 is 9. And then I always need to bring down my decimal. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a problem, and I want you to pause the video, and I'm just going to wait a minute, and then we'll check our answers after you try one on your own to make sure that you're understanding how to do this. All right, so here's my example. Sorry. I'm going to have 2 7/10 plus 61/100. Okay, so here's my problem. I want you guys to work it out down here in this space, or you can just write it on any sort of piece of paper that you have available to you. Work it out and let's see what you get. I'm just going to wait for you to do that independently, and then we'll check it. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video, work that out now. All right, and let's go ahead and check it. So I'm going to start with 2 7/10. 2 7/10, and I'm going to add to that 61/100. So would I write my 6 here and my 1 here? Wrong. I need to keep my decimals lined up vertically. This 6 is in the 10ths place, so I'm going to put it right here underneath the 7. The 1 is in the 100ths place, so I'm going to put it next to the 6 here in the 100ths place. And now I'm ready to add. Okay, and if you want to add a 0 here, just to hold that place value, does not change the value. 2 7/10 is equivalent to 2 70/100. All right, now I'm ready to add my hundredths. So I've got 0 plus 1 is 1. Add my tenths. 7 plus 6 is 13. So just like you would add with whole numbers, I'm going to put my 3 here in my tenths place, and I need to carry my 1 to my ones place. Decimal, 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 bring it straight down in my answer. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. So my final answer is 3 31/100. So that's basically like saying I had $2.70. I got another 61 cents. So now I have $3.31. Okay. Let's try a subtraction. So subtraction is also the same as subtracting whole numbers. And the only difference from adding is that subtraction is not commutative, meaning we can't change the order. I could have added this 0 decimal 6 1 plus 2 decimal 7 0. So with addition, I can change the order, and we call that property commutative, and still get the same answer. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 6 plus 7 is 13. Bring down my 3, carry my 1. Bring down my decimal. And 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so with addition, we're going to get the same answer. But with subtraction, it is not commutative. You can't change the order. So whatever order the problem is originally written, you still need to subtract in that order. So let's do one as an example with decimals. Okay, let's see. I'm going to say, let's do 3 4/10, which is 3 decimal 4. And I'm going to subtract 26/100. 26/100. Okay, same rules as adding decimals. We need to keep the decimals lined up vertically, one on top of the other. So I'll start with my first number. So this means I have 3 4/10, and I'm subtracting or taking away 26 hundredths. Okay, so 3 4/10 minus, do I start writing my 2 here and my 6 here? I have to keep my decimals lined up. So my decimal goes right underneath the top one. My 2 is in the 10ths place, and my 6 is in the hundredths place. I can put a 0 here at the end of my decimal without changing the value if I want to put something there just to hold that place value. And now I'm ready to add. 0 plus 6 is 6. That's a 6. 4 plus 2 is also 6. And again, if you want to put a 0 here in the ones place, just to hold that place value, so there's not a blank there, 3, ooh, I'm adding. Ooh, wrong, erase, erase. Bad, Miss Bailey. And also check your signs. I'm subtracting, so I need to subtract. So this is going to be interesting because 0 minus 6, I'm going to need to do what? I cannot take 6 away from nothing, so I'm going to need to borrow from this 4. Okay, because I have a 0 in my hundredths place and a 6. I cannot take 6 away from nothing. So I'll take 1 away from 4, make that a 3. Okay, and I'm going to bring that 1 over here and make that a 10. Okay, if it makes it less confusing, you can cross out the 0 and write 10 above, but I just put my 1 next to it, and now I've got 10 here. And I can take 6 away from 10. Okay, so 10 minus 6 is 4. 3, I don't have 4 here anymore. Remember, I crossed that out, and I have 3 here now. 3 minus 2 is 1. Decimal, decimal, bring the decimal down, keep everything lined up. And 3 minus 0 is 3. Okay, so my final answer is 3 14/100. Or if you want to think of that kind of like, I had $3.40, I spent 26 cents, and left over now I have $3.14. Okay, I kind of messed that one up a little bit because I started to add, so I'm going to try to do another one as an example. All right, let's erase this. And let's say I have 93 hundredths minus, let's say, 4/10. 4/10. Okay, so I have 93 hundredths minus 4/10. All right, so let's set this up. I've got a decimal, a 9, and a 3. So I'm not going to put my 4 underneath this 3 because I have to keep my decimals lined up. So I'm going to put that decimal directly underneath the one above it, and I'm going to put my 4 in my 10ths place. Okay, and I can put a 0 here just to hold that spot because we know that 40 hundredths is equivalent to 4/10. And I'm subtracting, so I'm going to put my minus sign out there and remember to subtract. Okay, I've got 3 take away 0, or 3 minus 0. So I can take nothing from 3, and I still have 3. And then 9 minus 4, I can take 4 away from 9, and I still have 5. And then I always bring my decimal down, decimals stay lined up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give you one to do as like kind of a practice to see if you can do it independently, if you've got your answer. And then I'm going to give you some IXL practice as well as this sheet right here. I think it's right there. This one. Let me clear the annotations out. Clear annotations. So we're going to practice some of these on your own independently. Okay? Be good practice. Let's do this one, B right here. So I've got 7 and 87/100. Write that down so I can remember that. Minus 3 and 9/10. All right, so we're going to do this one as an example together. All right, so let's see. Here we are. All right, so I've got 7 and 87/100. 7.87. And I'm going to subtract 3 and 9/10. So that's 3 and 9/10. All right, so here's your problem. 7 and 87/100 minus 3 and 9/10. And I want you to go ahead and work that out independently. Pause the video, and then we'll come back and we'll check it in just a minute. But you try first on your own to make sure you're understanding. Okay. All right, if you haven't worked it out, please pause the video and try it. This is a good way to check yourself, but I'm going to go ahead and set this up. 7 and 87/100 minus, remember I need to keep my decimals lined up. So I've got a 3 in the ones place, a 9 in my tenths place. And then remember, you can add a 0 right here just to hold that place value. Ooh, really messed up that line. Okay. All right, and remember I am subtracting. Always check your signs so you don't mess yourself up like I did and do the wrong operation. So I've got 7 minus 0 in my hundredths place. So this is 7 take away nothing, which leaves 7. And then I've got 8 minus 9. I can't take 9 away from 8. There's not enough because 9 is bigger. So I can't take 9 from 8. But I can borrow from this 7. Take 1 away from 7 and make it a 6. So I took 1 from here, and I'm going to add 1 over here and make that an 18. 18 minus 9. So if I can take 9 away from 18, and that is 9. Bring down my decimal, decimal, decimal. And remember, I don't have 7 minus 3 now. I have 6 minus 3 is 3. So my final answer is 3 and 97/100. So this is like saying I had $7.87. I spent $3.90, and then I'm left with $3.97. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to assign some IXL adding and subtracting decimals for you to work on, as well as, not that, where is it? This sheet right here. Okay. All right, and remember that you have, or your parents have my number if you have any questions or problems with Seesaw, with the video, with this work. You can email or call me. Okay? All right. Bye, guys. Another video to come soon. Thanks for all your hard work. Keep up the good work. Oops, let me cancel this and